Feel like lucid be my dreams. Said you steady love me, so I'm sure you know the means. It's like I'm living all inside a movie in a dream. Sequels to my life entirely up to me. Slowly suffocating, do you notice how it feels? Baby, can you hold me while I'm running through a field like...
Okay. It's fucking muted.
And boy, was it a deadline for the Bucks. Sure, Giannis didn't get traded. Shams has basically been milking that story over the past week and a half. But at the end of the day, there were still a lot of transactions that happened. Big names moved around this deadline. And because of this, of course,
I don't understand the Bucks' game plan here. I do respect that they picked up Cam Thomas, so that was actually a good transaction. But they're still gonna be ass. You know what I'm saying?
of course, we have to make a video breaking down all the winners and losers. There's a lot of transactions, so we're going to get right into it. First, we're going to start out in Washington, where I believe the biggest winners reside.
Bro, niggas had the Wizards looking like prime Pat Riley. You're telling me the Heat, the Raptors, none of you niggas could have did that little weak ass trade for AD or the weak ass trade for Trae Young, nigga. Trae Young got traded for 2 fucking salary dumps, nigga. AD got traded for fucking a bag of chips and fucking 2 first-round picks that don't even matter. Nigga, they have the Warriors top 20 protected and the fucking Thunder's pick. That's going to be the last pick in the draft. None of you niggas could have gave a better offer than that. Or we, bro, niggas had the Wizards looking like they're fucking prime Pat Riley, nigga. Like, what is going on, bro?
And I can't believe
That shit pissed me off.
The Washington Wizards, in my opinion, are the biggest winners of this year's trading deadline. We already talked about the Trae Young trade, but the transaction that we have not talked about yet is with Anthony Davis, as the Wizards swing big on AD.
Look at this shit. You're telling me, hold on, let me move this shit so y'all niggas can see. You're telling me none of these niggas could have gave a better trade package than this? Are we fucking insane? Like, what is going on? Bro, Chris Middleton is fucking... Bro, Chris Middleton cannot play more than 30 games in a season. Marvin Bagley, a bust. I'm just keeping it real. The 2 first round picks they got was like fucking... They're all going to be like 20th, late 20s. They might not even get one of the first because it's a top protected Warriors top 20 pick. Protected 20th up to 20. I didn't even know you can fucking protect that shit for that up to that high, man. I didn't even know that was possible. I thought you could do 10, 15, 20, nigga. Nigga, just keep the pick at that point. What the fuck?
Picking up him.
AJ Johnson, cool. Malachi Ram, cool. You just have, but you don't even know what they're gonna develop into or if they're gonna leave somewhere. Like
in Dante Exum, Jaden Hardy, and D'Angelo Russell. And the only thing they really sent over was basically a bunch of expiring contracts, headline with Chris Middleton, 2 first-round picks, and 3 second-rounders. And those 2 first-rounders really are just glorified second-round picks. One of which is this year's OKC first-rounder, which we all know is going to be the 30th selection, and the other one is a 2030 pick from the Golden State Warriors, but it's top 20 protected. And if it's
see what I'm saying?
Not conveyed, then it turns into a second-round pick. So basically, 5 first-rounders and expiring contracts for Anthony Davis. Now, yes, there are a bunch of question marks around AD with his health, availability, and the type of player that he's going to be, and more importantly, how much money he's going to get paid.
I understand AD's value. I'm sorry to keep pausing, but like, bro, I understand that like AD's value is fucking horrible. But bro, you cannot sit here like, bro, how much? Give me 2 seconds. How many years does AD have on his contract? Let me just get the AD contract. Let's see. Let's just check. Sorry to go off topic. He has 2026, 27. We're in 2025, 26, right? Yeah. Bro, he has like 2 years on his deal. His other deal is going to be his last year is a player option. But you're telling me you wouldn't give up some fucking salary dumps for Anthony fucking Davis even if the nigga's injured, bro? Like,
but at the end of the day,
I understand his value's shit, but for that, at that point, you have to try and do that. What the fuck?
5 second-round picks and an expiring contract for a player that, when he is healthy, can give you top 15 status.
Thank
when
you.
you pair that with what they gave up for Trae Young, effectively, the Wizards picked up Trae Young and Anthony Davis for a bunch of expiring contracts and 5 second-round picks. I'm sorry, I don't really care what anybody has to say about the concerns of health and injury. This is low risk and high reward. Both AD and Trae Young will more than likely be sidelined for the rest of the season.
Like, nigga, you're telling me the Warriors couldn't pick up AD here? I understand, but I understand why you wouldn't because of how injury prone he is. But for the value of what the fuck they just gave up to get this nigga, bro, Chris Middleton don't even play over 30 games a season.
Which
bro.
is
like,
a benefit because his team is still trying to tank and go out there and get another young prospect to add to their core. Yes, there's a lot of people who are questioning the amount of money that they're going to spend on Trae Young and Anthony Davis, but for those who are unaware, a new rule implemented in the CBA a couple of years ago means that you have to spend 90% of your salary cap
Sorry to keep pausing. That's why the Rockets signed all those niggas to fat ass deals when they were rebuilding.
Before the season begins. This is the reason why a couple of years ago, the Houston Rockets gave Fred VanVleet,
bro, I'm telling, I be tapped in, bro.
Dillon Brooks these massive contracts because they literally had to, since everybody else on the books was still in their rookie contracts, and that's exactly what's going on with Washington. If I'm not mistaken, Alex Sarr is the highest paid player on this team, of course, if you exclude Trae Young and Anthony Davis. So that means that everybody else is still in their rookie contracts, and if my math serves me correctly, the Wizards would have to spend around 80 to 85 million in this upcoming offseason, and I'd rather give that money to two solidified stars than overpay a bunch of role players. But the biggest question mark that I think a lot of people have, of course, when it comes to AD and Trae Young, will they impede in the growth and development of a Trey Johnson, of a George, of a Sarr, and whoever they draft in this upcoming draft class? And in my opinion, they don't.
No.
I like the idea of adding Sarr and AD in the front court with one another.
Sorry, like I think that like Trae Young is actually gonna help Alex Sarr flourish on the offensive end. Like if you see like when Chris Paul, anytime a good facilitator, when Chris Paul played with DeAndre Ayton, that's the best seasons of his career. Luka with Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford, best seasons of their career. Chris Paul with fucking DeAndre Jordan. Like when you have a good facilitating point guard, it helps elevate you on the offensive end to such a high extent. Like you reach your potential.
Trey Johnson is really good, but he's effectively a sharpshooter that would benefit immensely with a playmaker like a Trae Young. And similar things can be said with George as well. He's more of a jack of all trades, but a master of none. I like the core that they're building out in Washington, but I don't like it enough to prevent myself from adding some complementary, solidified players that can produce at an all-star level in both Trae Young and AD. And I think Washington agrees with me as well. That's the reason why they were still tanking for someone else to add to the team, like a Peterson or a DeBontis. And a much bigger picture here is that 3 or 4 years down the line, when AD and Trae Young are expiring contracts, you can just flip them for whatever else you want, similar to what we just saw with the Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, you have the Dallas Mavericks. And let's go ahead and just get it out the way. Massive losers. It's really hard for people to deny the elephant in the room.
We gonna watch a video on the Mavericks after this.
That
Holy
is,
fuck.
what exactly did you get for Luka Doncic? We're basically a year removed from the Luka Doncic trade, and the headliner was Anthony Davis and this idea of building a defensive-oriented team to go out there and compete for a championship. Unfortunately, AD only played 29 games for the Dallas Mavericks, and in return, what they received for him, because they were unwilling to give him a contract extension, like I said before, expiring contracts and 5 second-round picks. And when you then add that on top of the original transaction, effectively you basically just got Max Christie, 1 first-round pick, 5 second-rounders, and a bunch of expiring contracts for a top 5 player in the NBA and one of the greatest offensive weapons the league has ever seen while he's in his mid-20s. Yikes.
This nigga's averaging 34, 8, and 9. And then the season that they went to the finals, this nigga was averaging 34, 10, and 9. Like, oh my god. I'm not gonna dwell on this because we're gonna talk about them some more.
Massive yikes. I understand that they had to pivot in a different direction because they didn't want to give AD the contract that he was seeking. However, I personally feel like what the Warriors just gave up for Jonathan Kuminga would have been a better roll at the dice. Not saying that Kuminga's value is extremely high, but I would rather try to figure out what I could get out of Kuminga rather than just go out and get a bunch of second-round picks for Anthony Davis. I don't know. I feel like there are better offers out there, and this right here is just really, really bad for the Dallas Mavericks. But hey, you got Cooper Flagg, and so if anything, you can sleep well at night if you are a Mavericks fan.
No, you can't. Oh my, we're leaving this topic. We're watching the Mavericks video after this. This is fucking, oh my god.
The next transaction, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers trading Darius Garland to the Los Angeles Clippers and in return receiving James Harden. We talked about this transaction in the last video just briefly, but at that point in time, it was still a theory. We didn't know what was going to be set in stone, but basically it was a one-for-one player, star for star. You go from Garland to James Harden if you are Cleveland, and in my opinion, for the Cavaliers, it makes a lot of sense. As much as I may like Garland and a lot of other people, his upside and his potential, at 26, he seemed to have stagnated a little bit and certainly doesn't mesh well with the roster that's currently constructed. He's also constantly hurt, dealing with a turf toe injury that has lingered on throughout the totality of the season. He's played less than 30 games so far this season, so there's that as well. And if he's not knocking down a 3-ball, a lot of his flaws that he already has become much more obvious, and it's really hard to believe that he is a player that is going to maximize the next 2.5 years with Donovan Mitchell. So going out there and getting James Harden and even
because I see a lot of things go to 37 at this point. Donovan Mitchell at that point where it's like, if we don't push to like contend, I'm out of here. You have to roll the dice and try something else. Harden, I feel like offensively, remember I said facilitating. I feel like offensively, just off of his playmaking, he might elevate fucking Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley to like a way higher level. I ain't gonna lie.
Giving him a contract extension that will be less money than you're going to pay Darius Garland in the upcoming years. I like it. I personally like it. I see a lot of people get upset that they went from a 26-year-old guard to a 36-year-old guard. I hear a lot of people get upset about how much money you have to pay James Harden. I hear a lot of people get upset about James Harden and his playoff woes. But if we're going to be honest with ourselves, Garland has playoff woes. Yeah. Garland is not available. Garland's getting paid more. And if Donovan Mitchell, from the reports, is claiming that he wanted this, then you go after it and maximize the next 2.5 years, because whatever you're going to do for the next 2.5 years is going to be better than whatever you're going to have after D. Mitch leaves with a core that features Evan Mobley and Darius Garland. So yeah, I'm fine with Cleveland making this trend.
Yeah, and I think that Darius Garland's going to be able to actually, like, he didn't fit well with the way that Cavaliers team was constructed. I think that LA, the nigga's gonna be able to actually like develop and reach his true potential, you know?
Action. And then on the other end, we had the Clippers. And in all honesty, I like this move for the Clippers as well. If the reports are true that James Harden went to the front office, asked for an extension, and they told him that no, they're not going to give it to him, then yeah, you trade James Harden. He has a player option at the end of the year. He could opt out and sign to another team, and you get nothing for him whatsoever, or at least what you receive in return in a sign and trade is not up to you. So getting Darius Garland and rolling the dice on a 26-year-old is way better than the latter. I promise you that. Garland's ceiling is certainly going to be higher on a team that's featuring him way more, so he doesn't have to share the ball handling responsibilities with someone else. And best case scenario, Garland turns out to be the 22 to 25 point per game scorer that many people expected him to be out in Cleveland, but probably was never going to reach those heights because of the makeup of the roster and how much he had to sacrifice just so everything can work well with Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and the rest of the players out there. So yeah,
I might need to start making analysis videos, bro.
I like this trade for the
my ball knowledge is crazy, gang.
Clippers pivoting to a 26-year-old for a team that more than likely will be redirecting into either a rebuild or a different direction in the near future, especially because there's already rumors about Zubac being traded, and Kawhi more than likely isn't going to receive an extension if James Harden didn't. Now moving on to the next transaction, it's out in the Bay with the Warriors.
I thought Zubac got traded. Am I tweaking?
It's a big old yikes. Jonathan Kuminga and the whole saga comes to a conclusion as he gets traded to the Atlanta Hawks, and in return, the Warriors receive Kristaps Porzingis, just a $30 million expiring contract. Yikes. We've been following this story for the better part of the last year and a half now, where effectively Kuminga cannot find himself with a solidified role on a roster that, in all honesty, needed more role players and more rotational pieces. Kuminga quickly found himself on the bench receiving DNPs, and the only time that he really saw some consistent minutes is recently when Jimmy Butler went down with a season-ending injury. Because of this, as well as the fact that during the offseason, he only signed a 2-year deal with a second year.
The Warriors are retarded. Okay, I'm gonna get to that. He didn't touch on it enough, but an amazing pickup for the Indiana Pacers. Halliburton gonna come back. We have to see how, because the Achilles injuries are something serious, bro. We don't know how Tatum is gonna come back. We don't know how Halliburton is gonna come back. We don't even know if Dame gonna come back even near the level he was. We don't know if Kyrie gonna come back. Kyrie had an ACL. Those injuries are serious, especially at like those niggas, some of those niggas' ages. But you add Halliburton back to that roster next year with Zubac, Pascal. Oh my, they might be a problem. The Warriors are like fucking stupid because Jonathan Kuminga is nice. Like, this nigga could easily average 20 points per game plus. But when he was on the court, his playstyle didn't translate well with the makeup of the team. So they would lose more. He would perform well, but they would lose more with him on the court. So when he's balling out like that, you trade and move this nigga. You don't hold on to this nigga and give him DNPs until he's valueless and then be like, he has no value. What are we going to do? Like, it's just fucking, bro. So then you get back an expiring contract and, like, Kristaps don't be healthy like that. So, bro, I don't understand what the Warriors' thought process behind what they were doing was. Like, you either go all in trying to get one last run with Steph, or you go for the rebuild. Like, you don't sit in the middle and stagnate.
Option, you know what I mean? Getting paid $21 million a year. Right. Of course, it didn't beg the question, what exactly were the Warriors going to do with Kuminga at this deadline? And I thought that potentially trading him to the Dallas Mavericks made some sense, especially if you can get Anthony Davis. I thought that they were doing something a little special with potentially pivoting off of him and Draymond to go after Giannis. I thought that they were going to do something critical. But no, it's just Kristaps Porzingis, who hasn't played that many games this year and who's on an expiring contract. That is it. This is effectively you trading Kuminga for cap space, even though you signed Kuminga during the offseason for $21 million a year. This is a massive yikes for an organization that had a massive injury just a week or two ago with Jimmy Butler, and in all honesty has been underwhelming to start this season. Steph Curry needs to demand a trade this upcoming offseason because it's done. Like, he's
not demanding no fucking trade, bro. He's not. Like, what is the point of him demanding a trade at this point? How old is Curry? Like 38?
Exhausted all your options. You got Wiseman, and you did nothing with him because he turned out to be a bust. You had to trade Jordan Poole, and in the process of doing so, you moved off of Ryan Rollins as well. And now here it comes with Kuminga, and you basically get an expiring contract for him. Practically nothing. Nothing. All of the young players that you had on your team when you're trying to...
Bro, Curry's gonna be 38 in like less than a month. Or like a month. Like, bro, he's not getting traded.
Douglas timeline, whole debacle that you were doing out there, wasting away a good 5 to 6 years of Stephen Curry's career. Yeah. Actually, it's probably gonna be 6 or 7 years of Steph Curry's career. Yeah. Just a massive failure from the Warriors. And in terms of the Hawks, I actually like this trade for them. Sure, Kuminga probably doesn't fit well with Jalen Johnson. Sure, Kuminga probably doesn't fit well with the rest of the roster. And sure, Kuminga's making $21 million. But hey, you can roll the dice on a young player that may be able to help you out. And if not, next year, he's a $21 million expiring contract. You can try to flip him and get something else in return for him. I don't know why the Warriors they also could have just done that as well. They also could have just kept him on the team, gave him a team option, get him back on the roster for $20-some million and treat him like an expiring contract. But hey, man, here we are. Warriors, what are you doing?
Their goal is just to get Kristaps to help out for the season a little bit, have the nigga be a salary dump, and then think they're gonna get a nigga in free agency. That's their goal.
Finally, the last big transaction we have to talk about is out in Memphis, and honestly, I'm a bit on it. Like
Horrible.
I really don't know how I'm feeling. I'm looking.
Utah fleeced them. I don't give a fuck what y'all niggas say.
On both sides. This transaction, of course, is Triple J being sent over to the Utah Jazz, and a bunch of other young players basically being swapped between.
Fleeced them. Fleeced them. Fleeced them. Because yes, these are some young players, right? Taylor Hendricks, Walter Clayton Jr. We don't really know exactly their potential yet, but 3 future first rounds. I don't even know if these are gonna hold that much value. I feel like you could have got something better for Jaren Jackson Jr. He's not no stud by any means, but you for sure could have got better than this. I'm gonna keep it on it. I'm gonna get to it though.
Well, the Jazz are also sending over 3 first-round picks, and the reason why I'm kind of meh on it is because I kind of feel as if you are the Grizzlies, maybe you could have gotten a little bit more.
Yep.
Those first-round picks are not that valuable, and I also just believe that Triple J and who he is as a player for a team that's going to need to spend money anyway because everybody.
What picks? That's what I was about to search. What picks did they get for that trade? That's what I'm trying to understand, because I don't remember those trades being valuable, and you have to understand that, like, yo, the Utah's looking kind of tough. You have to remember, bro, their starting 5 is going to be Keontae George, Ace Bailey, Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Jackson Jr., and then Walker Kessler, and they're going to get a high draft pick this year. And they have depth already. Like, they have Isaiah off the bench. They have Kyle Fliptowski off the bench. They have niggas off the bench. They're going to be a problem, bro. So I don't even know if they did give up their pick. But if they did it, well, how much value is that going to hold? You know what I mean?
Else on this roster is still on their rookie deal. I just don't love the rookies enough, or at least the young players enough out in Memphis to just give up on Triple J this early on. I kind of feel like you could have just been a player on the team that's getting paid so you can meet the threshold, the amount of money that you need to spend. But also, I understand it. Like, at the end of the day, you're blowing things up. You want to rebuild. And if someone tells you, I can give you 3 first-round picks, even if they're not that valuable, that's better than the second-rounders that the Mavericks just received for Anthony Davis. So,
completely different situation, though. Like, they received that for Anthony Davis because he's 34 and the nigga plays fucking 30 games a season. At this point, Jaren Jackson is more valuable than Anthony Davis. Yes, he's not a better player, but he's more valuable. It's like Embiid. He's more valuable, especially for the money you're paying these niggas. Yes, he's more valuable. You could have went out and got an actual young player to help with your rebuild and some picks. I'm not saying these young players weren't valuable, but you could get a young nigga that you knew was going to be, like, nice. You see what I'm saying?
Sure, I also understand why you do want to trade Triple J. And then on the other side, Utah, I'm actually kind of surprised here. And again, very lukewarm on everything. If you are Utah, an organization that has been stingy with personnel and draft capital over the past handful of seasons, I am surprised that they gave up 3 first-round picks for Triple J. 3 first-rounders, even if they're not that valuable for a player that's going to get paid upwards to high 40s to $50 million a year with his new extension, it's so unlike Utah. Now, sure, I like the idea of putting a big lineup around Keontae George, who has really come along as an offensive weapon over the past 25 games, but is miserable defensively. So Ace Bailey, Triple J, Lauri Markkanen, Walker Kessler Jr., like, that is a really good lineup to put around someone who isn't that good defensively. And also, Triple J isn't going to be good enough to turn the season around so much so that it will impede too much on the tank job that they're doing right now.
They still going to get a high pick.
Now, for them to still go out there and get someone of value. But I just don't like this young core enough to justify giving Lauri Markkanen and Triple J the amount of money that they're going to receive. I like their roster. I like what they're building, but just not enough to go full-blown pivot, just a complete pivot in a different direction for a Lauri Markkanen.
The thing is that you just have these niggas there play up their value and ball out, and then you could flip them. Like, yeah, they're making a lot of fucking money, but look at the fucking Warriors. The Warriors are so fucking desperate. They will do a trade for them. The Grizzlies, they will do a trade for. They'll pick up Lauri Markkanen. They'll pick up Jaren Jackson. They will do, like, there's teams that are gonna be the Bucks. The Bucks will sell their fucking kidneys right now to pick up a Lauri Markkanen. Like, you can just have them there on those long-term contracts, and there's gonna come a point where there's gonna be a team willing to give up some serious assets to get these players because they don't have a choice. You know what I mean?
Triple J and Keontae George led team that more than likely will still just be a 45-win team in the Western Conference that may not even.
It's like the AD situation. What do you really have to lose from doing that trade? The 3 picks. How much value do those picks have? You know what I mean?
Solidify yourself as a playoff unit. I just don't like it for a Western Conference team. But I can also understand why not go after Triple J. I mean, it's just 3 weak first-round picks. Who really cares? So again, lukewarm on both sides of the spectrum here. Now, with all the big transactions out of the
I think it was a great trade by Utah. I think that you're gonna be able to flip. Even if it doesn't work out, they'll be able to flip them.
Let's go ahead and speed through some of the smaller ones. A lot of still very impactful transactions, but not enough to go into any like deep analysis because there were still a lot of transactions. First, OKC getting Jared McCain. Love it for OKC.
Fleece. Yo, this nigga Daryl Morey talking about some. Honestly, I think we sold high. Daryl Morey might be a top, like, Daryl Morey, I think niggas have to understand that Daryl Morey is not a good GM. He's not. Hold on. Daryl Morey. He's not a good GM. This is a fleece, bro. Hold on.
It. I mean, my goodness. How they able to pull this off over and over again is ridiculous.
Like,
Jared McCain is having...
How do they keep getting away with this shit, bro?
...an off season, but he's also a bit off...
Oh, God.
...with the roster that now consists of not only Tyrese Maxey, but now VJ Edgecombe. So he was a bit of an odd man out. Picking up Jared McCain when his value was low is certainly an instant replacement for Lou Dort in this upcoming offseason, which is time for him to go off on. The Sixers, I think you sold on McCain a little too soon. His value was a little too low. Give him a little bit more time, up his value a little bit, but hey, you got some draft capital in return. But massive W for OKC to roll the dice on Jared.
What pick did they get back? Let me just double check. My bad. 2026 first round pick from who? Is it from the Thunder? If it's from the Thunder, nigga, you got fleeced.
Value was low. It's certainly an instant replacement for Lou Dort in this upcoming offseason, which is time for him to go off on. The Sixers, I think you sold on McCain a little too soon. His value was a little too low. Give him a little bit more time.
I think niggas forget, yeah, VJ Edgecombe was balling out, right? Was it not VJ Edgecombe? Who? I'm tweaking. Am I tweaking? Hold on.
Up his value a little bit.
Is it VJ? Hold on.
Return, but massive.
Not VJ Edgecombe.
To roll the dice on Jared McCain for some draft capital that you don't really care that much about. Boston getting big Vooch for Anthony Simons. I actually like this for the Boston Celtics.
Good pickup.
Get you a better rotational big because you are a little bit.
Bulls poverty franchise. These niggas got nothing for that core of DeRozan. DeRozan was 5th in MVP race. LaVine was an all-star. Vucevic was balling out. Lonzo, Caruso. The only nigga, the best return they got for anyone was low-key fucking trading fucking Caruso for Giddey. And I was when that trade happened, niggas was like, that was stupid as fuck. I told niggas that Giddey is like still a young player. He's a fucking 6'6" or 6'8" point guard. Like, that was a good trade for them. But aside from that, this is a poverty fucking franchise, gang.
Stagnant there. Anthony Simons is having a solid year, but not enough to justify keeping him on the team, especially because you're gonna have to pay him long term. Big Vooch, I like him being on his roster long term if he is willing to take a pay cut in his upcoming offseason, which I think he will be able to.
I'm worried about his age.
Retain him because you have his bird rights. In terms of Chicago, they are just picking up like the gauntlet.
Like, what are they doing? What are they doing? You have too much guards to the point where you can't even really develop these niggas. What are they doing?
Of guard.
If I'm not gonna move off of every nigga, I keep Giddey, I keep Ivy, and I keep Dillingham.
The amount of guards that they picked up this trade deadline is ridiculous. I'm just not the biggest fan of what they're doing. However, another transaction that is coming out of Chicago over to Memphis, and this actually is a sneaky big transaction as well, is Ayo Dosunmu is being pivoted over to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Big upgrade for the Wolves. Ayo is not like...
The fuck was that? Anyways, going back to what I was saying about McCain. Yo, my nigga. Niggas, it wasn't VJ Edgecombe. It was Stephon Castle. Jared McCain was a lock for rookie of the year when he was hooping. The nigga got injured. That nigga, what did they say? He scored the most points in the first 16 games since MJ. That nigga was having like back-to-back 30 balls and shit. Like, that nigga was balling the fuck out. For these niggas to move off of him like that, these niggas are crazy. Daryl Morey, bro.
The perfect ball handler. He's not the perfect passer and playmaker, but he is an explosive point guard coming off of your bench, can give you a good 10 to 15 points, isn't a defensive liability, and also is a better ball handler than the other options out there. Rob Dillingham is going over to the Chicago Bulls, who again, they're collecting guards, so there's that. But again, I do like Minnesota picking up another ball handler to kind of relieve some of that responsibility from Anthony Edwards and making that backcourt a little bit more dynamic, even if they do get Mike Conley and he comes back. So massive addition for the Minnesota Timberwolves. In terms of Chicago, kind of shaky with the amount of guards that they did pick up. But another guard that the Chicago Bulls did pick up, shout out to getting Jaden Ivey. Ivey right now, value is really low, moved off of him.
That's a good pickup. Like I said, I feel like they should move off the rest. Ivy, Giddey, and Dillingham.
And for Kevin Huerter, who's having an off three-point shooting season, I do like that addition. I don't know, I kind of feel like the Bulls did the exact same thing they did before with Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu. Both Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu just got moved, and they picked up Colin Sexton, Anthony Simons, Jaden Ivey, Rob Dillingham. They just picked up a bunch of guards. You still have Josh Giddey on the team as well. Like, you're effectively just doing the exact same thing you did before, where both Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu, their value and their development was regressed because of how many guards you had ahead of them.
Exactly.
And now you just...
Bro, I think the Bulls front office got schizophrenia. I ain't gonna lie.
Add even more guards over and over. I don't know. I like Jaden Ivey. I like the idea of him in Chicago. I just don't like the idea of him in Chicago with all those other guards. Hopefully Kevin Huerter turns it around and becomes a much better three-point shooter because he is having an off season. If that happens, then yeah. Shout out to Chicago. They're going to be really, really good. Also, shout out to New York. They got Jose Alvarado. That was
Chicago. No, the fuck they're not, nigga. You need to move off all of them niggas, bro. And Chicago's so stupid. Nigga, y'all don't understand how retarded... Bro, Chicago will really keep all of them niggas on the roster for like 2 years. I'm telling you, Chicago is fucking... Bro, their front office, if I'm the owner, I'm firing all of them niggas. They will really keep them niggas together for like 3 years. That's how tapped Chicago is. Like, when everyone knew the DeMar and the Zach LaVine and the Vucevic shit was done and they could have got value in picks and young players for them and young assets and niggas were calling their line to try and get them niggas, they didn't do shit. They held them until they had no value. Like, Chicago really keep all three of them niggas.
Going discussion, I like the idea of adding Alvarado to the team, another ball handler. It needs a little bit more dynamic play in that backcourt, especially defensively. And then finally, we have the Lakers.
They just
traded
did that.
Gabe Vincent in their last second-round pick for Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard, sharpshooter, three-point specialist.
Good trade. Good little pickup, yo.
Actually, I think he leads the league in three-point percentage at nearly a 50% clip. Gabe Vincent wasn't really providing that much value, but giving up your last second-round pick for Luke Kennard, who's also on an expiring contract, I don't know, man. I'm kind of a bit indifferent as a Laker fan. I just feel like you gave up a lot for someone who can just walk in free agency, and now all of a sudden the huge story is that they didn't want to take on any more unnecessary salary because they're pivoting themselves in the offseason to go after Giannis. I don't know. Hopefully they go after Giannis and they land him. If
nigga, if that shit happens, the league is fucked. I think niggas... Yo, I think that niggas are forgetting how fucking insane Luka is. I'm telling y'all niggas. Shout out to Shea Canadian. Bro, I'm like, oh, Luka low-key might still be better than Shea. I want y'all niggas to understand, like, Luka got hold for the Rookie of the Year, nigga. I mean, MVP in 2024, the year they went to the finals. Nigga, Luka was averaging 34, 10, and 9, nigga. And they didn't give him the MVP because his team was the 4th seed. They went 50 and 32. The Thunder and the Nuggets were tied for the 1st seed, and they both won 58 games. It was an 8-game difference. I think it was averaging 34, 10, and 9. And then he went and beat Shea in the playoffs while injured. He was questionable every game. That whole playoff run when he went to the finals, this nigga was injured. Like, each game he would be listed as questionable. The nigga was injured as fuck. And still even took a game from the Celtics when that Celtics team was way overpowered. And they shouldn't have even been close. Nigga, they had Kyrie, and hell, Kyrie's averaging like 19 points on like 42% from the field. Y'all forget how nice Luka is. Yes, he's shit on defense, absolutely. But y'all are forgetting, my nigga. Like, the Lakers right now, they're in a stagnant area because they haven't actually started to build around Luka yet. They haven't. They still have LeBron's big contract on the books. They're about to try and move off of LeBron and actually start building a team around Luka. Y'all are forgetting how nice this nigga is, bro. I'm telling y'all niggas.
There's a couple of other solid rotational players like Andrew Wiggins and potentially Lou Dort in this upcoming offseason, but they're not good enough to just not pick up any additional salary. So if you don't get Giannis, this deadline, in my opinion, is just a loss for the Lakers because moving off of your last second-round pick for Luke Kennard, that's kind of silly. Another big loser in this deadline, Ja Morant, still out in Memphis potentially as I record this video. Just I don't know what happened with Ja, man. This is sad.
Like, what is the thought process behind the Grizzlies keeping Ja Morant but then trading Jaren Jackson? I don't understand it. I don't.
No one in the NBA wants Ja. Even the Sacramento Kings are a bit kind of hesitant to go out there and trade for Ja. So there's that.
Like, I'm sorry, but at this point, like, for what you trade Jaren Jackson Jr. for, bro, you could trade Ja for some bullshit at that point.
Massive L for Ja for a team that's clearly trying to rebuild. Another massive loser, Sacramento Kings. What are you doing? Trading both Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis for DeAndre Hunter. What are you doing? Hunter makes too much money for a team that's like near $200 million on their payroll either this year or next year. And on top of that,
Kings another dumbass organization, by the way.
There was teams that were falling over themselves for Keon Ellis, for you to just trade him for DeAndre Hunter. Like what DeAndre Hunter doesn't shoot threes, doesn't play defense. He's just a player. And shout out to the Cavs for picking up both Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis, give you defense and more versatility in the backcourt coming off of your bench. Like I don't know what
Cavs cook.
I don't know what the Kings are doing. But yo, those are all my thoughts with everything that happened in this year's deadline. If anything changes, I may make another video either on this channel, but certainly will make another video on my other channel, The Lowlights. If you're missing any of my
Alright, yo, crazy deadline, I'm not gonna lie.
Something, baby, I like just how you blushing. And maybe we could bust it at the function. Turn nothing to something. Wish you could just see the horrors of my life may upbring.